to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
This movie, you absolute turd.
That started the
That's
recording.
that's the first thing that recorded, Hansi.
So, for those of you who haven't seen this movie, you're all turds. But
Welcome to the podcast.
and yeah, welcome. And yeah, we're looking at Captain America: First Avenger. Came out what 2011,
2011, best year ever.
fifth installment in the MCU, and it actually leads into the first Avengers movie, which is pretty crazy. So initial feels on the movie when you guys first saw it.
I'm going to let Hansi take this one.
Oh, well. Let me just set the scene, boys and girls. It was 2011. We were in grade 11. We were in our formative years. Well, sorry, Fitzy was in grade 10. Me and Zito decided to go on our first date together, and we went with his parents. They chaperoned us. It was beautiful. We got a really good Subway sandwich. We went to Shell Harbour Cinemas. We sat down for the viewing of, up to that stage, and I just want to clarify that for everyone out there before they start sending me hateful emails, the greatest Marvel movie that had ever been made. Look, we'll get into it maybe when we discuss it, but boys, brilliant casting in this movie. I don't know where we initial reactions to the movie when I watched it. I actually did really enjoy it. Now I know we can get into it and be like, oh, wasn't that good, whatever. But initial reactions, I actually really enjoyed the movie, and I think that people slag on the movie too much. That's my opinion, but I think that you wouldn't have a lot of the MCU without this movie. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Caleb, Grant said the last podcast, the Iron Man 1 has defined the last decade. Would you say Captain America has defined the last 10 years of your life?
Well, I am going for a Winter Soldier look at the moment, so potentially. But I don't know. I think yes. I actually wasn't here for the last podcast. That's true. Thanks for pointing that out, and everyone else now knows that I was a psycho. I appreciate that, bro. But I do think that you can't have Iron Man 1 without this movie, and you can't have this movie without Iron Man 1. As in, like, what they bring to the MCU. And then what we end up finishing it out with in Endgame, where we're currently up to for the most part in the cinematic universe, you can't have that payoff without this movie and Iron Man. So I think in some ways this brings a balance to what Iron Man 1 was in one way. So yeah,
there you go.
I think probably you were saying people like slagging this movie off. One of the things, Chance, is probably how cheesy some of it is. And it's that cheesiness of Captain America. Like, he's your perfect star-spangled.
He's the Boy Scout.
the
He's a
Star-Spangled Man. The Star-Spangled Man with the plan.
of
and so it was just like that whole thing, like even his little one-liners, I can do this all day and blah blah. So that's probably why some people. Yeah, so
but he can do that all day. Just to clarify,
Ask Peggy.
But look,
I'll ask her for you.
I agree that it is a little like me and Zeta rewatched the movie today, which was like living our first date we had back in. So it was like a 9 year. Was it 9 years ago? Yeah, 9 years.
Did you watch it at the same time?
We were actually pretty like it was close. We didn't have it.
I was already watching it.
Yeah. It wasn't like we had a Netflix party together or whatever, but we did watch it. But like look, it was cheesy, but also it's like if we were to go back now and time jump back to 1945 or whenever the movie's set, like it would be cheesy. Like I think that what we say, people spoke to each other in that way, like the formality they would use, the way they interacted with people, like it was cheesy. So I think that has to play into it. Like it's a period movie. It's not like they're making Avengers
1942, by the way.
Yeah, 42.
40s, yeah.
Sorry. Thanks, guys. Yeah. But yeah, it's a period movie. Like it's not made in 2020 or whatever. It's period. So
yeah, that's right.
I'm jumping onto this.
Address the elephant in the room. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. So what I think I will say is with it all, and this really comes down to expectation. Was I think when I was going in, like we noticed with the Thor movie, I found Thor was like a mixture of, say, sword and sandal, 300 jazz mixed with superhero type genre. So when I went into this, I think it's kind of funny. What Wonder Woman is now is what I was expecting Captain America to be then, which was the idea of this contrast between the war that was going on at the time with this superhero and this perfect guy that's coming in with this perspective. But so when I went in and they were mainly not focusing on the Nazis, like, no, we won't focus on the Nazis, we'll focus on Hydra and more on that side, I had an issue with that. But in hindsight, looking at it, I noticed they were going more for that whole Pulp Fiction type thing that at the time, like Caleb said, the comic books and the novels would have had that cheesiness. It would have had that real type over-the-topness to it that really fits the first Avenger. So I think that was my issue coming in, was I was expecting too much of like a gritty war movie in a superhero world, but rather they were providing more like, no, this is what a superhero movie would have looked like in the 40s.
Yeah.
And did you enjoyed Wonder Woman, I'm guessing?
At the time, yeah. I've had my different opinions about it over the years, but yeah.
It's a fairly average movie, Wonder Woman.
It's average because it doesn't have Chris Evans. It's got Chris Pine, so we'll just leave it at that.
Wrong, Chris.
Oh, that's a good guess.
They stuffed it up there. Look, David, I probably agree with you, bro. I think that I think my biggest issue with the movie, and I rewatched it today, is this is controversial. I don't think the Howling Commando should have been in the movie. I genuinely think that. We can get into that. I think there was no, like, what purpose did they play in the movie? There was like a couple of scenes with them. They go to that bar after they escape from Austria when they free Bucky, and they kind of have this plan to like go back in, and then we just get the cheesiest montage scene ever in the history of movies.
The montage scene ruined it for me.
That ruined, like, for so many people, including you, I remember, it ruined the whole movie, that one montage scene. Like, that ruined everything. So it's like, if you don't have that, and him and Bucky just decide to go back for one more mission to free people or something, it makes a whole different element to the story when you don't have that montage scene. So it's just
But do you think the Howling Commandos is Marvel looking ahead? Like, we're at the time they were going...
Potentially.
Like, so it wouldn't surprise me now if a Howling Commandos TV or something was made.
True.
And there's a lot of people calling for something like that.
True.
But that's probably what they were thinking.
Yeah, but at the time, we obviously didn't have the... Because obviously, I think, was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the first Marvel TV show that came out?
Yeah.
For the MCU, I'd say.
For the MCU universe, and that was post Avengers, so we obviously didn't have that world back in 2011. So it's kind of like, it just to me, when I first watched it, talking about initial reactions, I left it kind of going like, why are they in this movie? Like, as much as I thought it was cool because we knew who the Howling Commandos were, I actually was more annoyed about it. Yeah,
it would have just been a comic Easter egg. It would have been for the guys that like him to go, oh yes.
Oh yeah, I didn't see it that way. They just put it in there to satisfy.
I guess so. But look, I think, like, okay, so back to the point. If he went in that original mission when he goes and frees Bucky back in Austria, if he had freed them then and they were like, hey, we're such and such and from the Howling Commandos, like, that would have been enough to be an Easter egg, like, if you just said it.
Yeah.
But then, like, because they then went on with it back at the bar and made a big deal about meeting the characters, like, we didn't really get much more after that bar scene about their character development. So, yeah I don't know.
No, 100%. But even going to the point with, like, Bucky, like, you guys remember we were watching, was it Earth's Mightiest Heroes at the time?
Yes.
And you remember how dramatic Bucky's death was in that. So coming to movie, I was like, oh, he's going to have this big scene for him. But his death was very just, it happened and then we moved on. It's like, all right, this guy's gone. It's like, Bucky, and then that's it, I found. But in hindsight now, it's fine because of the Winter Soldier and what we've seen since then. But at the time, when I was not expecting Bucky to come back, where I wasn't expecting to go down that route, I was like, are you serious? Like, they did this better in the cartoons. Well, from my perspective, what I saw anyway.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to say. Well, in regards to the Howling Commandos, I was going to say, well, I do kind of agree with the fact that, okay, maybe there was no point to them being in there. But on the other end, you could say maybe they were an aspect of the movie that was just straight up overlooked or underused or not done well enough, but they could have done a bit better. And in the same way, you had Bucky's death, and I think another one for me, I thought maybe because like even Erskine's death, I felt was like, I didn't really feel anything when he died. You know what I mean?
Was it because you were expecting it, but
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought there'd be more to it, but like,
But Marvel's never been great at that. Like,
Yeah,
as in all their
Delta.
movies, the only
Agent Coulson before he came back.
yeah, but like the only death they've done good was Thor's mum.
Black Widow.
That's
I'm
later.
talking-
You can't compare
Oh,
that.
Yeah, I'm talking back then. Like the,
Endgame, Infinity War.
We're talking
Yeah.
about back then. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Phase
like the
one,
only good
phase
death,
two.
and that was probably because of composition more than anything else, is Thor's mum. The rest
Yeah.
of the deaths are pretty average. Like Marvel doesn't harp on them too long. Oh yeah, they're dead. Continue.
Yeah. Okay.
No emotions.
Although in rewatching it today, I will say that obviously, like for us that had been watching Earth Mightiest Heroes, and like if you know anything about the comic books, like you pretty much knew Bucky was probably going to die.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, you wouldn't have. But I didn't realize because I guess at the
Spoilers.
time, yeah, sorry, spoilers. Bucky dies. He comes back. It's Winter Soldier. We'll do it later. But in the scene when they go back to Austria, when they're walking across the beam, and then you have that really cheesy Captain America jump across the ledge. I was watching it going like if I knew he was going to die as much as what I know now at the time, I probably might have thought he was going to die then. Like as in, it's almost like they were hinting at it throughout the whole movie, and then eventually he falls off the train or whatever it is. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There's actually an Easter egg in that bit, where this is like just not really that related, but it's an Easter egg. Where Cap he asked Cap about, is this revenge for going on the cyclone thing at Coney Island?
Oh yeah,
Apparently that very ride is the same one Spider-Man sitting on in Homecoming.
Oh wow.
Oh really?
Yeah. Where he fights Vulture or something.
Oh,
yeah,
at the end. Oh wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Real random reference.
Yeah.
So, do we agree that the issues that are in this film is when they're focusing too much for setting up for the future? Because even like that montage scene, I think the issue with that was more like we got to get to Avengers. Avengers is coming up very soon. We need to set up for that. Do we agree that's mainly where the issues are coming from?
Yeah, but yeah, I think they do focus. I think they do character development well, even though some scenes are pretty brief and relationships between characters are pretty brief. But like a lot of movies do that well, where sometimes the shortest relationships can have like the biggest impact. But I found like a lot of like just small conversations and exchanges between Cap and Bucky, obviously, like even though I feel like there wasn't much of them together in the movie.
Okay.
And him and I feel like there could have been more, like in comparison to, I don't know, whatever it is. And even with Erskine, like the scenes were pretty short, but like I guess there was a lot in the dialogue between them that developed obviously a solid relation. But because like maybe for me personally, like adding to the less impact in Bucky's death, I thought the relationship, unless you know how it is in the comics, it also didn't have that much impact because maybe they didn't really develop their relationship with one another in the movie itself.
Well, that's the thing. Like in the comics, Bucky's more of like a Robin type character, like a younger sort of who looks up to Captain America. While in the films, they're the same age essentially. Just they've got more like a brother type relationship instead of like a, I don't know, father type role. I think Mark, you can correct me on this if you want.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So
Well, I haven't read too many that have Bucky, but probably in a lot of the new comics, it's post time skip, blah blah. So that's why it goes back to the Batman Robin relationship, because it's he's thawed out. He's now part of the Avengers. Like they're all, it's modern day.
Yeah.
I do think though they portrayed Bucky's loyalty to him well enough in the movie, because there was no like inferiority complex or anything with Bucky and Cap. Like it was usually Bucky looking out for him, especially at the beginning, like that scene with the first time he says, "I can do this all day," but then when he rescues him, Bucky's just like, "Oh well, you're big now," and then throughout the movie they just work together like really well.
Yeah,
I guess
probably
like
happy for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess like a lot of the things we're discussing as far as like, hey, these are some problems with the movie. Even was Bucky in it enough with Cap, and like if you were directing the movie, or if you were Kevin Feige producing it and whatever, you probably would say, like, I don't know, I'm assuming they knew a lot more than we knew, and they knew, hey, Winter Soldier's coming. And look, I think a lot of things fell into place. I mean, you got the Russo brothers to direct it, which added a whole other element to Winter Soldier. But it's like, if you knew what you knew, and they were like, you know, people's criticism was like, there's not enough Bucky, there's bits that are cheesy. Like, you would go, and most of us agree now, all these problems that are a bit minor are kind of rectified by that movie. Like, we don't have we don't have that major issues with them now, because like Bucky comes back on screen, and you instantly, if you've seen First Avenger, are like, wow, they've got a relationship. Like, you know. So, yeah.
Do we want to talk about Red Skull? Or is it too early?
Yeah, we can. There's so much. Hugo Weaving.
He crushes it. I think he crushes it.
Easy.
He does a good job.
Yeah.
Elrond.
It's good to talk about him because for years I just keep hearing from everyone, Loki is the best villain in the MCU. But to me, I understand because Red Skull has only had one movie. And I understand that, like, the female mobs, sorry for singling that out, would have more of an interest in Loki than they would for Red Skull.
Oh, yeah.
But
why?
Because Hiddleston.
Because Hiddleston.
I'm joking. He's got a red face. Why would I
Hey, some might. You never know, Chance.
True.
Yeah. I love those sunken in hollow cheeks.
The goths, the emos and the goths are into the Red Skull. But yeah, I don't feel like the Red Skull gets enough credit. And I don't know if that's because he has one single film or I don't know, but I feel like he really works well as a villain.
Did many of us think, because I did when I watched it, that he'll come back for sure? Like, as in, when I finished the movie, I was like, oh, he killed it. Like, and I know a lot of it is Hugo Weaving, like, just flat out refused to come back for whatever reason. But I actually think, as far as you raised a good point, David, the whole Loki Red Skull comparison, because I think when you're listing your top, like, your Marvel movies in the first phase, like you kind of got the Hulk, Iron Man, Cap, and Thor. And I think we can all probably agree, like, even though I love this movie, I think Iron Man is still number one in that phase because it's Iron Man. Yeah. But I think it kind of comes down to, do you prefer Cap over Thor? Like, that's where you got your listings as far as the movies. And we can debate and argue that all day. But I think, as much as I like Loki and it's cool, I think Red Skull to me is more of a pure movie villain, like a comic book villain. Like, he is kind of that, like, when you open up a comic book and you're reading something that's like out there, weird, like whatever it is. Like, I think Red Skull is that villain. So
it doesn't help that he's pretty much portrayed as like a cosmic Hitler. Like, he's like your ultimate wearing the black leather. I think Grant's back.
I think it helps for the setting. Obviously,
I mean, sorry, doesn't help. Wrong words. Like,
for popularity.
Yeah, but like, he comes around, like, he's a good villain because he comes out as the perfect villain. Big black leather trench coat. Like, everything just works. He's got the German accent, Captain America. Like,
but
like,
where will I sit?
Yeah. Where will I sit? Yeah.
Not a scratch, Doctor. Not a scratch.
But I agree. Like, I think I said in the last one too, the reason I really like Stain is that there's no two sides to, I think more so Red Skull. There's no two sides to him. He's straight up all for himself, all for the glory of Hydra or whatever. He's just
they're evil because they're evil.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no sympathizing with him. Well, we'll throw out whatever he was in Endgame, which, to be honest, I still don't know what that was.
Yeah, that's strange.
It was still cool, but yeah.
Like a Grim Reaper type thing, because they probably thought, oh, he's got a skull face. Yeah, he's the Grim Reaper. Why not?
Do you know what would be awesome is a TV show about Red Skull, like between what happened between him touching the Tesseract and when we see him in Endgame, like what actually. Because I'm sure they can come up with. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, he got sent there because he touched the Infinity Stone and whatever. But to me, that's just like a poor excuse. Like, he's just been sitting there for years.
Yeah, he's been there for
doing nothing.
Years.
Yeah.
Unless time is different or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about?
It'd be interesting.
He looks a bit like a Dinesh boy,
What, Grant?
He looks like a bit like a Dementor from Harry Potter.
Oh, in Endgame.
That's what he did between then and now.
Prisoner of Azkaban.
He went to Azkaban.
The ultimate
Yeah.
crossover.
He needed a job for a while.
Yeah,
What-
it's like no one's coming here for a while, so I'm gonna have to go join another film.
What were you saying, Fitz?
I was saying that. No, I was going to say, like, if we want to have a show about him, do you want to have like a marriage at first sight type show? But it's the Red Skull.
Yeah, I'd be down. Yeah.
Just anything.
The
Maybe
new
they'll bring him
Bachelor,
back.
Red Skull.
Maybe in like the Marvel What If series or something like that. he might come
There's
back.
potential for that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, like
He's just at the
Bachelor and
moment,
the What If.
he's just shacking up with Black Widow now for sure.
Oh,
Oh wow.
He's not really dead, bro.
Yeah.
we literally don't know what he is now.
Yeah.
He's got Gamora and Black Widow. They're just
I
chilling.
know. On the booty train.
There's so
Look at all
many
the colors:
connotations.
white, green, red. Purple. Thanos is there too.
He's like the Mark Malika of Marvel.
I think another thing, obviously Malika touched on, he was like the Hydra Hitler or whatever. I never actually said what I enjoyed about the movie, and obviously I was hyped at the time to just go see a movie on our first on first date with Chance or whatever it was. But one of the aspects I enjoyed was like anytime a movie is set in a different era, of course, like for me personally, I get drawn to it just because it's different for whatever we have now. And yeah, it was perfect in the 90s, like all that stuff with the Nazi and Hydra references. And then you had the propaganda scenes with like, that was one of the things after Cap's transformation, they just had him selling bonds and punching Hitler. And a lot of the music was like very 40s, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That grew on me more now. At the time, I was like, "What's this?" But I like it now. So again, that comes back to perception. But continue.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's
But yeah.
also. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Zed.
I was just gonna say it does appear cheesy.
Yeah, but it was also the reason Captain America was made. So you go back to when Captain America was originally written, and it was
Propaganda.
propaganda,
Yeah, straight up. Yeah.
same as Superman.
And
They were written as propaganda against the Nazis and commies and all of that.
was Wonder Woman like for? I don't even know, but I'm just guessing. Was she
Wonder
for
Woman was
feminists?
World War II.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But was that a
So, yeah.
feminist?
There's there's actually a
Possibly.
weird story behind that. Like,
Yeah, we'll save it.
yeah, a very, very weird story.
Okay, well, I guess the next thing we could go on to, what do you reckon about the themes of this movie in regards to like development, especially in regards to Cap? Like, two of the main ones I saw was like him always being, well, time. Like he's obviously where he is now. Not including Endgame, it Avengers. He's in a completely different time. But I feel like that carries out throughout the whole movie. There's like little hints about him being late to stuff or whatever. And then the other theme was like, someone described it as like FOMO, which is like, feeling of missing out. And there's heaps on that, like with him wanting to be in the war and then again, push forward 70 years and him wanting to go back to obviously his own time.
And then obviously going forward to Endgame, him wanting to go back all the way back. So it's like that's kind of his character arc through the whole MCU is that wanting to be somewhere that he's not. That's literally like in the whole thing that he's doing. He's like not necessarily 100% comfortable where he is, or in the body of the person that he is. So,
And it's because it's people he's not used to. So you look at my background. That's who he wants to be with,
Yeah.
and who he goes back to.
You can take that to the point of saying he's a soldier that never got to go home. Like, people criticize what's happened. Some people say, him giving up the shield, Cap will never do that or whatever. But the reality is he's been a soldier for such a long time. He's been at war for such a long time. And similar to the Wolverine character, they put him in a position where he's a character that needs peace. And this is the start of that.
Yeah.
He
I
also
was actually
Go.
I was actually interested that one of the when I watched it today, one of the lines that I didn't really feel got any payoff, which when you hear it, you kind of think, oh, they'll use this. Like, it's kind of like, oh, I could do this all day, blah, blah. when he's about to go into the surgery or the enhancement, the super soldier serum, the doctor turns to him when they're about to drink the schnapps, and he says to him, just remember, like, you're not a perfect soldier, you're just a good man. Like, that's basically like summarized. That's what he says.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like that. Like, that seems like a line that they would that they should have kept pulling out throughout the MCU. Like, he's not, like, something he would say, like, I'm not a perfect soldier, like, I'm just a good man, like, all that sort of stuff. But that doesn't really ever come up ever again.
Well, Iron Man,
yeah.
Sorry, Iron Man kind of twists it in Avengers where he says, like, everything special about you just came out of a petri dish or something.
Yeah, right.
Right. Or a lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lab. Yeah, petri dish in a lab or something. So it says something like that.
Yeah.
But I think as far as themes go in the movie, I think I won't say themes. I'll talk about like timing of the movie. I think that they kind of had two openings. The one where they find his body, and then the one where Red Skull's in, like, is it Norway that he goes to find the Tesseract?
Yeah.
Those two scenes, both great, but they're kind of both two openings to a movie. And then I think from that point up to when he goes to Austria and frees Bucky, I think the timing of that was pretty good. Like, I was actually on board for most of that. The whole, like, him in the army, getting trained, all that stuff. Like, that actually was good cinema. I think after that is when I felt like it rushed it. Like, after they come back from that, the movie didn't really, to me, get its proper ending. And I think that was to do with the timing. They spent so much on that, like, period. Like, he's in the army. He grew up in Brooklyn. He was skinny. And, like, I get why they did all that, because it helps you get on board with him as a character.
Yeah.
But then that's why I come back to the whole don't bother with the Howling Commando rubbish and just, like, spend some more time on him and Bucky towards the end of that movie. And then do that. Yeah.
But how much more can you really show of Captain America just going around beating up Nazis?
Yeah, true.
Like, you can't keep harping on that. Like, there's only, like, so much you can see of that, and so that's probably why they had to rush it. Where, all right, let's just get this storyline done. Like, there's not much else to show.
But it comes back to the trailer issue where you see it in the trailer, like, that looks cool, and then you see it in the movie, it's like, yeah, I saw that in the trailer. It's the same issue because you expect them to expand upon it from the trailer. So I reckon for me, if I hadn't seen those scenes like Captain America jumping out of an explosion or Captain America on a bike taking down two Hydra agents, if I didn't see that in the trailer and then saw it in the movie and was like, that's it, I probably wouldn't have been as disappointed.
You reckon they were focused a lot too on, it's like one of the most amazing special effects, I'll say, putting Chris Evans' face on that skinny guy's body. Like, do you reckon maybe, I don't know if it's an excuse, but as to why they focus so much on that, I guess it was obviously character development, but I don't know. It was like they were, I don't want to say that, but it was like they were flexing it. But obviously, it does deserve praise because that was very convincing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think they were spending a lot of time on that opening segment and all that stuff, like him as this skinny guy. Because you got to think, even that first like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is, where he's like getting bounced and rejected, goes to the cinema, gets beat up. Like, it's a lot of cinematic time spending on the fact that he's like a nobody. Like, it's a lot. So, but I think it pays off. I think that it's fine. And I guess, like, until I rewatched it today, I was like, I didn't even really remember the cheesy, like, second, like the last third of the movie. Like, I kind of forgot about it until I rewatched it. So, yeah, I don't know. I think overall it kind of makes up for it. But, yeah.
All right, what about for me? One of the bits of the movie that annoys me the most, and I know it's just because it's the Captain America story, but him crashing down with the plane.
What?
Yeah.
The guy's a super soldier. Why could he not jump out of the plane before it crashed?
Because he
made the sacrifice play, bro. Don't be like that.
Yeah, but still, it's like one of those annoying things where he didn't have to sacrifice himself.
Yeah, well, I can't say much other than it's just a theatrical thing, man.
Yeah, it's
but
the
obviously,
story.
Who knows? Maybe they could have. I think we said it. The same thing about Bucky. They could have delivered things a lot better in regards to death. But that's obviously a different case because you can think of options of how he could have survived it.
But the interactions between him and Peggy, like, I think that's what distracts me from the fact that he could have jumped out. Like, that whole conversation with them, and then the way it cuts out. Like, it's good they went that way because they easily could have gone, "I'm about to die. tell
yeah.
Peggy I love her, but they went for a good.
Yeah.
But yes, I do agree with Mark, but they were able to trick me into not focusing on that.
Yeah, that's
That
true.
makes-
Yeah, and that's because of the comics. Like in all the comic lines, that's how like it happens, and he gets frozen. Blah blah. Like they're not going to completely change up such a major factor. Because then
They
what
did
do
a
you
better
do with him?
job in the cartoon, didn't they? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, both him and Bucky are in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. They both get well, we'll say dead, even though they don't are killed, but they don't really die. They both get killed on the same day or whatever it is.
Yeah, but it makes more sense why, because he like grab onto like a missile, spoilers,
Yeah. It's like a
and then
rocket or
falls
something.
into the water. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bucky stays on it, and it's actually for a cartoon. I was like, whoa, that was.
But it is true though what you're saying, Malika. It's like he in the first part of the movie when Howard Stark flies him to Austria for some late night fondue, and then he jumps out of the plane into the middle of enemy territory when they're all shooting guns, and he can't jump out of it. Like
out of a plane, yeah,
like,
as it's getting closer to the
like
ground.
out of a plane that's going like slowly declining or whatever it's doing. Like he can't grab a parachute. Like pretty much all they had to do was say in here, "Oh, there's no parachutes. Like we don't have any." Like it's like some sort of like reasonable excuse for why he wouldn't jump out of the plane.
But even that, he can still jump out because he jumps out of the plane
Winter Soldier
without a parachute.
Yeah,
it goes.
He's like,
Yeah,
"Did you have a
true.
parachute?" No, but you didn't have one. Like
Yeah,
that could have.
Yeah,
That could have been a jab.
Thor's body.
I'm looking forward to that review. That Winter Soldier movie has, in my opinion, one of the greatest opening scenes to any Marvel movie of all time. But anyway.
I just love how in one of the cartoons later they make Hulk a Winter Soldier. He gets a Winter Soldier arm and becomes Beast.
Oh my god!
It's actually one of the best things.
Chris Evans. Before we get into him completely, I reckon he's the king of having roles and then taking on another one and then not tarnishing your reputation. Like, for a bit of background on that, he was obviously Human Torch, and the next one to take on Human Torch, Michael B. Jordan, becomes Killmonger, and then in Captain America itself. So the Howling Commandos, you had that Asian dude, Morito or something. There's an Easter egg in Homecoming again, and the principal, the Asian one, is his grandson.
It's the same actor.
Yeah, same actor. And then there's another bit where there's a chick asking Cap for like an autograph or when he's taking photos, and he has his mask off. And that chick, she plays Star-Lord's mum in Guardians 2.
So is that actually Star-Lord's mum, or is that just...
I don't know, but like Chris Evans seems to be the king of just like he just paves the way for people to take on two different roles in Marvel movies.
It's because of the time.
Yeah.
There's 70 years between, or almost 80 years, time difference between his roles in the movies. So that's why they can just keep going back and grabbing characters and doing things.
But this could have gone so wrong because I remember them talking about Channing Tatum being Captain America. Like,
yeah, true.
They had like even though I like him, John Krasinski from The Office, he was going to be Captain America at some point as well. Like they had a lot of
he's teed to be Mr. Fantastic. A lot of people want to be Fantastic.
I'm actually on board for that.
I
I think his wife should be in it. Emily Blunt should be in it as Sue Storm. That's the thing. They should have Kevin from The Office and just have a reunion.
He's Dr. Doom.
Did Krasinski did he go for Thor as well, or just Cap?
Cap, but he saw Chris Hemsworth walk past him, and he was like, I can't live up to that. So screw this.
Chris Evans is pretty diverse though. Like I thought of all the let's say the main three, Robert Downey, Hemsworth, and him. Actually, they're pretty even. I thought he'd be one who'd be stuck in that role, like say in other movies, like he's just Captain America. But I didn't realize how diverse he was until like obviously a bit after like these movies, Endgame and all that, where he's doing stuff like theater, and then me and Fitzy saw Knives Out, And
Be
I was
careful
like,
what you say next. Be careful what you say next.
we saw Knives Out, and then all right, like a spoiler-free.
He's good in it.
Yeah, he's very good. I thought I was like, I'm just seeing Cap, but he's very good in it. So let's just put it that way.
There's also someone else who almost played Cap. You guys know
Me.
the Shooter TV show?
Are
Yeah.
you talking about the 1990 movie?
Shooter.
Or-
No, the
Mark
TV show
Wahlberg.
Shooter.
Mark
Oh,
Wahlberg.
Ryan
and then,
Phillippe.
Yeah, he almost played him as well.
really,
He's a bit
tiny.
short, but he's a bit of a shorty.
It was him and Krasinski.
Yeah.
Lucky bastard
think-
getting to do Shooter with Spivot.
But like when they announced Chris Evans at the time, I was like, he's the Human Torch, because like that's the first thing that goes through your head. It's like he was the Human Torch, or like with Green. I don't know. Like I didn't think it with Ryan Reynolds so much, but there are times where I'm like, he's already played this character. He can't do this character. But I think by Chris Evans playing Captain America, it showed you can.
Yeah.
You know, you can star in a forgettable superhero movie, but then redeem yourself in a more memorable one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, this first Avenger was on the cusp of. Nah, I won't say forgettable. It wasn't.
Whoa. Far. We haven't even started talking about Peggy Carter yet.
Unforgettable.
Well, we might as well. Want to lead into that? Peggy Carter. What did we think of her?
10 out of 10.
Okay.
Look, it's hard. It's hard to look. She's better than Natalie Portman as a leading lady.
Oh,
Yes.
easy.
Just because I think Natalie Portman ruined. She tarnished anything to do with the MCU because she just hated it so much.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Now
But
she's
I
going to
don't.
be Thor.
Yeah, but I don't think she's as. I don't think Peggy
Oh,
did as good as a job as Pepper Potts. Like as in if you're talking about characters as leading ladies, I actually think.
Wow,
No, I just-
wow.
I'm
I
actually
got something to
cool.
say about that. Yeah, I'm surprised too.
I think Pepper Potts means more to the MCU is what I'm getting at. That's what I'm saying. I know we talk about the whole Peggy thing and it's part of Cap's arc, but then like there's a lot in Endgame as an example that has to do with Pepper Potts and them having a daughter and like there's a lot in that movie about her.
Yeah, but that's
going back-
multiple movies versus one
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
It's the
But
same
going back
thing.
to say like Iron Man 2 that came out just before this, like do you feel that at the time Agent Carter took more, like she came across as more of that progressive type character compared to Pepper Potts?
Yeah, I agree. I think some people wouldn't have enjoyed her for that reason, though. That's what I'm saying. I think there'd be people that watch the movie that kind of go, I'm not buying into this romance as much as what everybody else is. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? I just don't think they would have bought into it as much. And I think people would have viewed Pepper Potts as a better leading lady at that time. I think now maybe it's different, and maybe it means I don't know. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's my opinion. I love Peggy Carter. Like, don't get me wrong. I think she's a great leading lady, but I think that I think that there's times in it which we don't really ever get a reasonable excuse. I know we kind of do in Howard Stark's like, oh, you don't understand what a woman is, but like, what does late night fondue mean, and what were they doing? Like, we don't really get a reason.
Was it a
No,
Netflix and chill or?
Yeah, but like, what were they
Howard
doing?
Stark
Old school
says
Netflix
that it
and
was
chill.
just fondue.
Yeah, I know he
know-
says that, but
Yeah.
do you believe Howard Stark? Let's be real.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying. I think too, like
Seems
that
like a nice guy.
that thought is like, yeah. Well, the dynamic between the two pairs, Peggy and Cap are then their relationship isn't as dependent on like what's her name? Pepper has to rely on Iron Man heaps more than Peggy has to rely on Cap. So that's probably why.
Which is a contrast to the times.
Yeah.
So you'd think it would be the other way around, where Peggy Carter and Cap are from the 40s. Where
Oh
it
yeah,
would be
that's true.
fully dependent on the male, but it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, that's true. But she was in the military, so
Yeah.
But they did like oh no, they still redeemed that scene where, because like she punches that guy in the face and he was trying to undermine her in a way. Oh, well, we can go to like underrated characters, and I reckon I don't know if it's underrated to you, but Tommy Lee Jones was pretty solid in it. He was like
Yeah, he had a
captain or
short
something.
bit, but it was it wasn't bad. It was a good little cameo that he did.
Yeah, and especially when it was like developing Cap's character with stuff
Yeah.
like throwing the grenade and then Cap jumping on it, which is a huge scene, obviously.
But that is Tommy Lee Jones though. Like he just plays that old dude.
Yeah.
Like he's a captain or he's a general or something. Like in every movie I swear he's done, he just plays the same guy.
Yeah, it's just him playing himself pretty much.
Yeah. And then he goes and drinks the Boss coffee in Japan.
Japan, yeah, apparently. Like he's everywhere. He's very diverse, that guy.
Yeah.
There's also another one whose name I always forget for some reason, but I know it now. Arnim Zola.
Oh yeah, Zola. Yeah.
I reckon he was. Well, we obviously reckon he was underused. I don't know about the opinions of the other lads. We'll ask them when they get back, but I reckon
because of what we've seen in the cartoons and stuff.
Yeah, I reckon he hasn't been used very, very well yet, unless they're just saving him.
Yeah, I think all the Captain America villains, we all have like Baron Zemo, Zola, Red Skull. We haven't really seen them used to any potential.
Oh, the one that was a big shame was the one in Civil War, Wolfgang or something. Can't remember his name.
Not the one that's the UFC guy.
Oh no, not GSP. Oh no, in Civil War. Sorry.
Civil War.
What's his name? No. Was it Civil War? No, it was Age of Ultron. Freak.
Going all over the place.
Is it Strucker?
Oh yeah, Baron Strucker.
Yeah, he's another one.
I think you see Strucker in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Same,
really?
I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think
Isn't
you
his
see
son
Strucker
in the?
Yeah.
Isn't his son in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., not actually him?
Yeah, I think so. And he's
Okay.
just he's a full psycho, like he's psychotic as well, full sociopath.
So we were talking about different side characters that had like pretty big impact in the movie, even though their roles were, I wouldn't say diminished, but they were pretty short. And one of them was Tommy Lee Jones as Captain Chester Phillips and Arnim Zola.
I felt like Tommy Lee Jones had a pretty prominent role in the film. I don't know, like I don't see him. He could have done much more than what he did.
Okay, yeah. Well, I thought he did well, especially well in Captain America's development, especially showing that scene. Well, obviously at first he didn't recognize it. He's just like some skinny kid. It's like he makes me want to cry. But then he throws the grenade out, and then that scene is huge.
Well, Tommy Lee Jones was what Tommy Lee Jones should be in a superhero movie, which is like that
Himself.
meme said. Yeah, that meme says he always looks like his son just told him he's going to take up unicycling. Like there's this constant disappointed man. Like
yeah.
just
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
like that scene with him and Arnim Zola. I'm not sure if you guys covered this, where he's just starts eating that steak in front of him. Like I still
That's
remember
great.
that scene. Like like they could have easily gone for a stereotypical scene where he's like, all right, tell me what you know, blah, blah, blah. But no, he pulls out a steak. He's like, yeah, if you don't eat it, I'm going to eat it, and we're going to have a chat. Like, that's good acting.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, what do you reckon of Zola? Toby Jones.
I liked Zola in the film. I just, obviously, from hindsight, he's had more of an impact later. Like, when I think of Zola, I think of that computer scene from Winter Soldier more than I think about him in the
His
first
role
one.
that was actually like a pretty like scary scene. It was done well.
Yeah,
in
but I think
Winter
that's
Soldier.
more because in First Avenger he's the psychic to the Red Skull. So
he's
that's
overshadowed by Skull.
Yeah, and everything about him comes from that.
Yeah.
While later on it's like, no, I'm the guy that infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm the seed of Hydra. So that's probably why he doesn't stand out as much in the first film for me.
And his physical stature just shows like he's tiny. But like there is an Easter egg
against him.
There is an Easter egg in the movie where like you see his face on like this massive screen, and then it's like apparently
Yeah,
It's like,
like in
what
the
his
comics.
costume. And then there's a blueprint actually of his costume as well.
Okay.
But do you reckon there's potential for him? Because obviously in the comics and animations, he's used a lot more than what he used in the movie. Do you reckon there's potential for use of him in further movies?
I'll let Mark go first.
Oh, it just depends where the MCU goes.
Yeah.
No one's quite sure at the moment where it's going. Like they're releasing a lot of TV, like they're going to release a lot of TV shows as side stories, and we know Thor, the new Thor's coming out, and another Black Panther, but no one knows what's happening with the rest. Like Captain America, he's old now. Like there probably won't be another Solo unless it's Bucky or Sam Falcon. But other than that, like will his villains ever come back? Who knows?
Yeah.
I think as Avengers it should go a different way. Whether they do Skrulls or they do first X-Men or I don't know, whichever way they go.
Yeah, I feel like they've tied a knot on the Hydra storyline, and that's the thing with Zola. Like the MCU has come to a point that they can go more into, like they've had a grounding, they've dealt with realism, so if they wanted to have more a comic book accurate Zola, they could, but they've just, Zola's so connected to what Hydra is, and Hydra's become such a completed story arc, there's nowhere really you can go with it anymore.
Yeah.
The same thing with the Thanos storyline. It's just more like, okay, what's next?
Especially if you bring in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where Hydra is still alive. Like you've got Ward, who's Hydra, and then they sort of disappear for a bit, then Hydra comes back because you've got Strucker's grandson or son or whatever it is. So they've already fleshed out the Hydra story as much as they can, and it's done. Like even like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went completely cosmic, and they've gone back in time and forwards in time, and
that's it.
They've brought the Kree in and all that, so that's done.
And like you don't want Hydra to become like what the Hand was in the Marvel Netflix series, which was just, which my own opinions on that, but just the whole idea of just losing that thing that keeps it interesting.
Isn't the Hand from Ninja Turtles as well?
The foot.
No, that's the
foot.
Foot.
That's the foot. Yeah,
different body part.
I think one of the things I said in we said in the Iron Man movies where it lacks any kind of like build up towards Infinity Saga, but it does well for character development of Iron Man. But also it's like they do well in it in setting up for example, Iron Man 1 and 2, they were only setting up for the next Avengers film. And number 3 was setting up kind of like what Tony was going to be, like the reasoning behind Tony's mentality for Ultron. With Captain America, I think it was one of the rare ones that actually did both set up for Avengers, but also at the same time set up for Infinity Saga with the Tesseract.
Yeah.
But Thor, but they were the... that's where Marvel did it really well, in that they did character origin stories. So you got to know the character, so that when Avengers happened, you knew what you were talking, like who they were, why they acted the way they did, and then they also brought in those small little things like the Infinity Stones and that building up to their grand 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Where
did you guys sorry.
I was just going to say, and that's where DC sort of didn't do it right.
With the mother boxes?
Oh, I know, kind of, yeah. But like they've gone, let's do these massive grand movies, and then let's do our origin stories. And it's like, well, what's the point? Like you didn't do the big movies properly. How are you going to get one single origin story proper?
Yeah, but what I was going to say was, did you guys cover about the ending? Because I got a bit confused with the ending because it was like, okay, we got the Tesseract, it's got all this power. So what I'm going to do is fly a plane and just nuke America. That's what I got from Like I'm pretty sure
Oh,
those
Red,
nukes
as
were
to Red Skull's like
planned,
final
and yeah,
plan in the end.
yeah. Like were those nukes Tesseract powered? It was just a very confusing.
Yeah, they were.
Like,
Yeah, I
all,
think so.
all the weapons he was developing was essentially powered by the Tesseract.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not exactly entirely sure what his goal was
Or how they were Tesseract powered. Like that means Zola.
Or why?
Was
Like, what's the? Yeah, continue.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like that just shows Zola's genius. Like if back
obviously.
then he could get weapons that use the power of Infinity Stones, and then they're struggling to do that properly in the 21st century. Like probably another bit of a wasted bit of character.
Yeah, but I think that was another thing that kind of just threw it a bit off for me because, like I said, like I don't know, I enjoyed it more as time got on, but like that's just the whole thing of like Cap jumping into like I think it was the part he jumps on the nuke and then it flies out and he has to fly it back in and then like just that whole part of the film just kind of threw it a bit off for me because I felt they could have done something better with this whole idea. Like you got this powerful Infinity Stone, what you can use it for such more interesting things than just we're just going to nuke America. Like you can just use nukes. Well, I don't know if Germany had nukes at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess essentially because our focus was on Cap and
Red Skull.
what's going to happen to him and the eventual Avengers movie, it did take away from what the actual plot of the movie was in the end with Red Skull's plan. But he does say in the movie, I've seen the future, and to me that can mean like two different things. Either he's had some kind of encounter with the stone, even though he only touches it at the end, or he does have plans with the Tesseract and as to what kind of things you can develop. But even then again, that's like, it's pretty broad.
But it's interesting you say that because if that's true, it would explain why he killed the Nazis and was like, all right, no Hydra, because he knew the Nazis couldn't last after the war. Yeah. He knew that Hydra could have lived on, and having the Infinity Stones could mean their purpose could go beyond that. So if we take it with that meaning, it adds a whole different layer to the film.
With the Tesseract, so I don't think we knew it was an Infinity Stone. Obviously, we don't really find out. But did you guys think any of it? Because like I could only draw from like the TV show, and I thought it was the Cosmic Cube, but it obviously wasn't.
It is, isn't it? It's just a different name for it.
I don't know, because it's an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, but I think maybe they just they added more to it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Tim. Yeah.
Man, shut that dog up.
Oh, actually, that reminds me of Howling Commandos. So apparently,
it is the Cosmic Cube.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. They renamed it the Tesseract, the Space Stone.
Oh, they made it better than in the movie. I reckon they made it better for the movie universe. But
what? It was better in the movie universe.
Better suited.
Oh yeah,
I should say. So there were a bunch of cameos in the movie. We didn't even talk about Stan Lee's one in Iron Man 1, but he had one in this one. But did you guys know that next to him was the guy who used to play Captain America?
Who
like the one with the motorbike helmet, Captain America?
Oh, no, I didnn't know that.
I didn't know either. I found that out today.
Oh.
But yeah,
because I only know J.D. Salinger, who played him in the 90s, in the forgettable 90s film. But I didn't know much about the 70s Captain America.
Yeah. And then, he was next to Stan, where Stan's like, I thought he'd be, no. Does he say, I thought he'd be bigger? Can't remember.
I thought it would be taller.
Yeah, that's the one.
Just watched the movie today. I've forgotten his line already.
And then, my mind was on a lot of things. But apparently Feige said he had plans for a cameo from Logan, for Logan, as one of the Howling Commandos.
As Wolverine. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they fought together in the war in
Yeah.
one of the comic lines. I'm pretty sure.
Which I feel like
That would
maybe
have been good.
yeah, it would have added a lot to it, but I feel like that would have changed the movie maybe like quite a bit. Oh damn, Chance didn't
I
hear
don't
that.
think
Yeah.
so.
Oh yeah, that would have been a huge.
Well,
change. That would have been
for the
strange.
Commandos, maybe. I don't know.
Well, because Wolverine, like if it happened now, it would be a big thing because it's like, oh, does that mean Wolverine's back? But at the time, X-Men had its own thing going on. So like if they were able to hit a deal, we just see Hugh Jackman rock up in a scene. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I don't think.
It would have been confusing.
I don't know if it would have been because like you look at like X-Men Origins Wolverine, the part of the film people like is the beginning when he's in the war. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it really depends how into the whole superhero lore you are, obviously. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they would have just done it as something to get people excited for like a little bit, like just to appreciate. Because they did it in the cartoon where Fury's dad, who's also a Howling Commander in the cartoon, he calls
Jack
out
Kirby.
Logan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he calls out Logan, and you see Wolverine for a bit, and like
Okay.
only real fans would have like, well, anyone would have caught on to it, but like everyone's like, oh,
But it could be like the X-Men First Class because you're like I don't know how you guys felt when you saw that movie, but I was like I'm not sure what this is. Is this a prequel? Is this a reboot? I don't know. But when Logan shows up in that very small scene, I didn't care. Like he shows up, I wasn't like, what's he doing there? How's this work? I was just like, I'm just appreciating that Logan's got this scene and he's full Wolverine in the scene.
Yeah.
So I guess this depends how they would have done it. They couldn't have done it without Hugh Jackman, but I think if they did it right, it could just be like, oh, Hugh Jackman, that's fun. But I do understand there might be a bit of confusion.
Yeah.
Here's another Easter egg / cameo for you, just after a bit of Googling.
Yeah.
At the Stark Expo, you see the original Human Torch.
Yeah, in the glass. I think it's in the glass. Yeah.
Because he was an android created by Timely Comics, which became Marvel Comics.
That's pretty cool.
There you go.
And also because Chris Evans is in the movie. And apparently they wanted a cameo to just back on the X-Men thing for Eric Lenscher, Magneto. I don't know.
That one might have been forced.
Yeah.
Yeah, how would that have worked?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Camp prisoner or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but that would have its own connotations.
Yeah. And, well, they obviously couldn't do it, and they didn't do it. And
Yeah.
that one would have been a pretty big stretch.
Yeah, I think so too.
Tyrell makes a cameo in the movie. Natalie Dormer.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. It's funny that you said that. That's literally what I'm Googling right now.
But it's not like it's a Game of Thrones character or anything. But like, that's such a random
Yeah,
thing.
she's the blonde.
Was she big in that movie, or like by that time was she big yet, or was she just taking on whatever?
I remember the movie.
She was in Tudors. That's it. She was in Tudors before Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but when the movie first came out, they released photos of Captain America, and she was in one of the photos. So that's why she stood out to me because like, oh, there's that chick from the photo. And then that face stuck in my head. So when I saw Game of Thrones, I was like, oh, it's her again.
I don't know if we talked like we kind of talk a little bit about, but more so his dynamic with Captain America. But Sebastian Stan, Bucky Barnes, what did you guys think of him in this?
I liked him, like I said, because we used to joke about it. I was not a fan of the Bucky because I did my research of Bucky before the movie came out, and obviously saw him in the cartoon. I didn't like Robin. You did the voice well. Do the young Bucky voice.
I can't even remember it.
You know, it's like
yeah.
It's
like, all right, Cap, let's do it.
Yeah, you used to do it better, but you get the point. Like, it's like, come on, Cap. You know, it's just like that fanboy of Caps. So to make him into an actual relatable character and like it makes a lot more sense. You know, two men who grew up together going to war, then rather than just this guy's like, I look up to you, Captain America. I'm going to go with you wherever you go in the war.
Yeah.
So,
And
that
that
made him a
wouldn't
more
suit.
realistic.
Yeah, that wouldn't suit the Winter Soldier very well. Like
No.
the way they've done it, it suits Winter Soldier. He's that battle-hardened character who's been in heaps of wars, or not many wars, but like he's been in a few firefights. He's just hardened. He's a seasoned soldier.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
If he was like some fanboy, it would have been crap.
It's more obvious there that there's a side to him that, well, you could call it darkness, but he's being mind controlled, so it's hard to say what it is.
Think about this. Imagine if Tom Holland played Bucky.
I could see the younger one, that cheesy version one, because it fits perfectly.
It does.
It looks like a kid. It looks like a kid playing Bucky.
But yeah, I know what you mean by it's better than that cartoony Robin one.
Yeah.
I guess carrying themes were so Cap. One of his big things is putting his life down on the line. You saw it with the grenade scene, and then obviously crashing the plane down, which somehow saved the world when he had other options to survive. But they carry that on, and they contrast it with his character to Iron Man, whose whole development was, I guess, well, especially in Avengers, his change from thinking about himself to making the sacrifice play all the way to Endgame. I thought it was kind of perfect for Civil War, like, but it's just like showing Cap, the difference between Cap and Tony. It's why there's such a good contrast between them leading up to Civil War. So that's one aspect of Civil War, I reckon, that.
So wait, the more
did work well.
Are you saying? Because like I was watching Endgame the other day, and it had the part where Tony says to him, and it didn't stand out to me before, where he says, I wanted to build a suit around the world, whether that meant taking away your precious civil liberties or not. And it built that contrast. Is that what you're talking about? That contrast between Tony's willing to do whatever, even if it's grey, while Cap will always go for what is considered the moral, ethical way, regardless of. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, but like I feel like both draw out sides of one another. That's opposite. Like, even though Cap was saying what's morally right, he was pretty selfish in a way in Civil War in wanting to, even though it was right, obviously, but he's just trying to save his friend. But he still could have.
I have my questions about that, but we'll get to that when we get to Civil War. But
I do see where you're coming from, Zeta, and I do think that a little bit. Like
he's not all perfect.
Yeah, like he follows Bucky and tries to protect him the whole time, when really you can argue he wasn't in the right at all in that.
It's arguable.
Like, yeah, it's an arguable point. I don't like that sport Civil War.
I think it comes back to the point of you're innocent until proven guilty, and I think that's where Cap's coming from. That while Iron Man's more just, this is what it looks like. We need to stop it before it becomes something.
Yeah.
Well,
and he had guilt on his back or Tony did anyway. Well, Cap potentially did too, because he lost Bucky and he's just trying to help him get his way back. But
Cap would have had survivor's guilt.
I guess the ultimate selfish play or thing for Cap, which he deserves. He deserves to do what he wants at that point, is in Endgame, where he goes back and just stays with Peggy.
Yeah, but we said this before. Well, I said it about how the whole idea of he's the soldier that never got to go home.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to the whole thing of, if a soldier after a war goes home to his family, is that, I know that's a real life question, but I still apply that to Captain America. He fought the ultimate war. So he has a right to go and live a life.
Yeah. At that point, he's done. He's finished his war. Yeah. He's left, he's left it to the future generation. He's left it to the others.
Yeah.
He's gone, I've fought my wars and battles, now it's time for you guys to continue.
Yeah, and he's literally lived a lifetime. Well, it's hard to say because he's young and pretty much the whole thing. But I would say he's pretty much lived a lifetime of fighting. So yeah. he's the Superman. He's the Superman of the MCU in the sense of he's dedicated his life to inspiring others and to be a symbol of hope. And once he's achieved that, he has his right to go and live the life that he gave up from the beginning.
Yeah. I think in essence, what I was trying to say is that from Iron Man 1 and Captain America 1, the contrast between them, I think, was developed really well so that they could have that, that clash between them all the way throughout
100%.
The movie, just because their characters are obviously so different in regards to selflessness, but like at the end of the day, they both do the right thing.
Yeah.
They have their sort of own way of doing it.
Yeah.
And I see that similarity between, like I said in the last one, about, Tony essentially, to me, died in that cave, and what he did afterwards was his second life, that second time to do the right thing. The same way I say with Cap, like they both have had two lives, one life where they did what they wanted and another life where they lived for others. So I see that as a similarity between the two characters.
I feel like the shield, Captain America's shield, was like everywhere in throughout the movies. But within the movie itself, you had a lot leading up to what became the shield, and someone compared it to how Iron Man's suits went from a box of scraps to what it became at the end. With Cap, it's more subtle, but like you had a trash can lid and a car door, and then the prop that he used. But it's just another small thing where there's that escalation.
It then becomes vibranium.
And then, speaking of vibranium, where do you guys wonder that vibranium came from?
It comes from...
Obviously Wakanda, but like, where did Stark get it?
In the comics... Sorry, I'll let Mark say this.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, in the comics and in some of it, he lands in Wakanda for a mission or something accidentally. And then he becomes friends with T'Challa's grandpa.
Okay.
Like he's like, it's an outsider, but it's like one of the few honorable people he's ever met in his life. And he gives him the lump of vibranium, I think, or he gives him the shield as like a gift present thing, because he realizes he'll only use it for good, not for bad.
I read somewhere, and this might be a different version, where they said some vibranium they found in Antarctica, which, again, could be wrong, but it was just like a tiny little bit of it. But, again, different versions and different series. So.
Yeah, different storylines. So.
Yeah.
Within the context of the movie, doesn't vibranium, did it fall as a meteor?
Yeah.
So it could I guess it could have landed anywhere. But thinking again, even though Ulysses Claw was way ahead, he was saying that he was the only one who ever had a stock of vibranium or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I think they've done his timeline a little different.
Yeah.
I think in the comics, Claw is earlier than what we see in Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
And it comes back to, how like in the Avengers when Nick Fury's like, because of now we know that Thor and his race of beings exist, we now have to create weapons. But then in the 90s, he ran into the Skrulls. Like, it's just, I think it comes back to, I don't know, I'm sure the MCU can work around that. But it's a big universe. There's going to be some discrepancies. So.
Yeah. Well, I thought it might have been like maybe, even though different times, but wherever Claw got it from, it was obviously like dirty dealing or whatever. Maybe Howard was doing some behind the scenes stuff, and it was just like he didn't get it in a way that was very favorable. That's why it might have been hidden.
Well, Tony, I think he had dealings with Claw. I don't know. It was implied that they had some sort of connection in Age of Ultron, so you don't know how
Yeah.
far they could have gone back in regards. Yeah.
I think Claw was one of the first to infiltrate Wakanda.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Like an outsider.
1992, Claw was recruited by Njobu to steal a stockpile of vibranium from Wakanda.
That's way ahead though, obviously. But yeah.
But still earlier than what we see.
Yeah.
That's MCU. 1 second. Wanted Marvel Comics, not MCU.
While you're looking, there's other Easter eggs too. Like, I don't know if we talked about it in the last one, but the serum and the process of creating the Winter Soldier, similar to what the Hulk was trying to achieve, except they use gamma radiation. But in Incredible Hulk, they use a version of the Captain America serum on
that's right.
Blonsky. And then the last Easter egg I saw was, it's not that big, but the scene at the beginning in Norway where Red Skull's getting the Tesseract, it's apparently the same place where Odin fights the elves or something, and then it's also the place where New Asgard is.
New Asgard is in the one Endgame.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's in Norway.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it was good Captain America came after Thor, because like if we saw that tree, well, we may have picked it, but I reckon if we would have saw that tree, well, most people saw that tree before Thor, they would have been like, okay, but coming off the mythology of Thor and seeing that, but okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, when he said Idris, I was like, it would have meant nothing to me unless obviously Thor had come out first.
Yeah.
Which is another good bit of directing and production from Marvel.
I was gonna say to Chance, even though he's not on, he's the Phil Coulson in the Avengers, where he's just like the ultimate fanboy of Captain America.
He's got his trading card.
So, in closing, where would you rank Captain America, this movie, and what would you rate it? And in regards to rank, just for Phase 1 Avengers.
Ranking. Oh wow, I have to count how many movies are in Phase 1.
What about if we say origin stories?
Yeah.
Like in the whole movie universe.
Yeah, or in the origin stories for MCU.
Okay, all right. I now have to count how many origin stories there are.
You could just say high or low or middle.
On a movie rating, I'll probably give it a good. It's hard. Either 6.5 or 7 out of 10.
Okay, yeah.
But I'll wait. So how are we gonna rank it? In regards to origin stories, it's a hard question. Well, it's not. I won't say it's near Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh my. Is there an origin story? I'm not a big. This is hard. I have to rethink the whole MCU.
Well, you've got Thor, Cap, Iron Man, Black Panther, Hulk. They're the only origin stories we've seen.
What about Ant-Man?
Oh yeah, and Ant-Man.
Yeah,
I forgot that existed.
It's hard because if I put Captain America at the bottom, I'm saying it sucked, but it's not that. I'm just saying I just prefer the other origin stories, but I still enjoy the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's fair to say. That's your ranking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have it somewhere in the middle tier, or I'd say it's a middle tier movie as for origin on ranking. And this is putting aside I don't think it's fair to rate Infinity War Endgame with I just put them aside and then just rate the other ones separately, to be honest.
Well, the only one that sits in there is Black Panther origin.
For you? Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's number one for me.
Fair enough.
It's the best origin out there.
Obviously, mine's Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man's my one. I'd have to put Thor ahead of this one just because I feel like this is another discussion entirely, but I feel like Thor went against the structure of the origin story more compared to this one. As in, it wasn't about someone getting powers, it's about someone losing powers, but becoming the character. So that's why I have to put Thor ahead of this one.
Yeah, I'd rate the movie a 6 or even a 7. Probably a solid 7.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'd agree.
I won't say it's forgettable, but I won't say it's memorable. It's somewhere in between.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's more memorable just because of our appreciation of Endgame and Captain America. And Winter Soldier obviously carries it a bit.
Yeah.
And
It serves its purpose.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I rank Captain America pretty up there. Not like putting aside power and movies and that, just for like things he stands for and that. He's the Avengers Assemble guy. Like, if you're gonna look to a leader, I
Look
reckon
to him.
pretty up there. Yeah.
But in saying that, and this is what I was trying to make the point in the beginning, is I still think, even though I enjoy it, I think there's a lot of potential in a superhero in a World War II setting. And yes, Captain America wasn't bad, but I still feel there's a lot more you can do with that setting.
Yeah, I'd agree with you boys. It's all sort of middle tier for me. It's nothing too exciting. It's not great. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree. It wasn't a bad
Serves
movie.
its purpose.
No. And yeah, and that's the thing with the MCU. I would say all the movies in it, like in comparison to what came before, like I say Nick Cage, Ghost Rider, or whatever
Elektra.
superhero movie, Elektra, yeah, whatever movies came before, they're more they're the ones we forget about and we don't talk about that much. But these movies will always, I think, will have some level of this is official to us. This is the official superhero movie to us, and I think we include Captain America in that.
Yeah, I do agree with what you said. The MCU, specific MCU movies in comparison to all the ones beforehand. What helps too is, like Malika said, it serves its purpose, and all the movies had purpose in this whole Infinity Saga of like 20 movies or whatever it is.
Yeah,
They were leading up to something bigger.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
alrighty,
Probably.
that's all we have for First Avenger.
Good chat.
don't forget to like and subscribe.